All right, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the TFL Podcast. This is Bon, your host. This first episode, I'm going to go through the Week 7 slate of games. We've got a couple of highlight games or spotlight games that I'm going to talk about, the Chargers and the Giants, and the Packers and the Bengals. But first, let's get to the rest of the slate. So we've got our Thursday night matchup this week, the 4-2 Broncos at the 2-4 Ravens. Broncos coming off a victory, 31-17 over Dallas in Week 6. The Ravens coming off a hard-fought loss to the Bengals, 34-31. This is a matchup of really good offense against really bad defense, but turnover differential I think will make the game. The Broncos are +7 turnover differential on the season. The Ravens are -7, even though they have a top 10 offense. And the Broncos with the 31st ranked defense, I think the Ravens will be able to move the ball, but turnovers will be the story. I've got the Broncos coming out victorious. Getting into the Sunday slate, we've got the 1-4 Vikings at the 5-1 Panthers. This is a bit of a mismatch game. You've got rookie quarterback Charlie Palmer for the Vikings, making his sixth start of the year. Got a 4 touchdown, 16 interception ratio right now, 47% completion percentage. Really tough start to his career. The Panthers are +15 in turnover differential with 18 interceptions on the season. Defensively, Josh Rosen is playing like an early MVP candidate. The pick here is the Panthers in a big win. Next, we've got the 4-2 Chiefs at the 2-3 Washington football team. The Chiefs are currently second in points on offense at 32 points a game. Last in pass defense, giving up 287 yards. They've lost consecutive games to Baltimore and Indianapolis. I believe both of those games were Sims, however. Washington comes in with the 30th ranked offense. They've alternated wins and losses all season. They're coming off a loss. So if that pattern continues, you'd think they would win. But I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs here with the victory. Moving on, we've got the 2-4 Cardinals against the 3-2 Titans. The Cardinals come in as an offensive machine, 5th ranked offense in the league. However, they are 22nd in points scored at 24 points a game. Kyler is off to a good start, 13 total touchdowns. And led by his top 2 targets, DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Evans, who the Cardinals traded for in the offseason. They've combined to record 13 of Kyler's 1,750 total passing yards. The Cardinals struggle in the red zone. We mentioned the offense. Their point total is so low because they only score 59% of the time in the red zone. Got 14 touchdowns and 27 chances. So the Titans come in 5th in rushing, 3rd in total defense. Again, the 3-2 record isn't as indicative of how well they've played. Derrick Henry's averaged over 6 yards per carry. They locked it down in the red zone. Really good defensive team. I've got the Titans over the Cardinals in this game. Let's get to our first spotlight game. So the Los Angeles Chargers at 3-2 are traveling to New York to face the 5-1 New York Giants. The Chargers come in with the 5th ranked scoring defense and the 7th total defense. The offense isn't as consistent as it was last season. Justin Herbert finished 2nd in the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year race last year. He's still playing well, but not as well as he was. 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's got a good TD interception ratio there. The real highlight of the Chargers offense is Austin Eckler so far, averaging a ridiculous 8.2 yards per carry. They run the ball well, and Herbert is a strong performer in the pass game. But their defense is the highlight. You mentioned the 5th ranked scoring defense, 7th in total defense. Joey Bosa comes in leading the team with 3 sacks. There's only 5 sacks as a team, I believe, maybe 6. So they don't get after the quarterback a ton. 11 team interceptions. They also don't cause a lot of turnovers. But the Chargers have played well so far. You see the 3-2 record. They are coming off consecutive losses to Denver and Jacksonville, so maybe a bit of a downturn. The Giants coming in, it was a bit of a rough season last year, but they are currently 3rd in the league in scoring at 32 points per game, 25th in total defense, but 10th in scoring defense at only 22 points allowed per game. Daniel Jones is playing like another early MVP candidate. 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Saquon Barkley is dominating, 585 yards and 11 TDs already. The Giants defense, unlike the Chargers, does get after the quarterback. 4.5 sacks out of Dexter Lawrence, 4 sacks from Lorenzo Carter. Rookie first-round linebacker Greg Bird has 3 interceptions all in Week 5 against the Cowboys. Xavier McKinney also has 3 interceptions on the year. This is a really strong team that's clicking on all cylinders offensively and defensively. So I'm going to take the Giants at home over the Chargers here. Next game up, we've got the 2-3 Pittsburgh Steelers against the 1-4 Cleveland Browns. The Browns trying to defend their AFC title last year. Rob has been missing in action for the last couple weeks. Advances, he just got married. Congrats to him. But I believe he returns to defend his AFC title at this point, so he's got some ground to make up in that AFC North. Cleveland is 8th in passing offense right now at 312 yards per game, 2nd in passing defense, but last in rushing defense, and that's probably as a result of the CPU, giving up 203 yards per game on the ground. Pittsburgh comes in, defensive juggernaut, 2nd in total defense, really struggling on the offensive end though. Weston, their rookie quarterback, 2 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. They were shut out by Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, fought well, but lost to the undefeated Green Bay Packers last week. I believe the score was 31-24, so they're going to be looking to bounce back. This is going to be an interesting matchup with Rob returning. We'll see if he has a little bit of rust, but I think Cleveland gets the win to improve to 2-4. Next game, we got the Jets at 1-5 against the 3-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Jets are currently 32nd in scoring offense. They're only averaging 15 points per game, but their rookie quarterback, Bowles, has taken over from I believe it was Cam Newton that he had, taken over for Cam Newton. He's got 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions recently, or in his starts so far. Their killer is the -12 turnover differential. They're one of the 3 worst in the league. If they can cut down the interceptions, they'll get back on track because the run game is strong, and Bowles looks like he's a pretty good quarterback. Tampa Bay, coming off an NFC South title last year, has struggled a bit. They are 4th in defense, but they're 19th in scoring defense, 26 points per game. Brady had a great year last year, 32 touchdowns, 29 interceptions, great for our league. He's got 5 touchdowns and 13 picks right now. I'm actually going to take the Jets in the upset. I think things are starting to turn in the right direction for the Jets. Hopefully they can get their desync issues figured out and get in the win column. Our second spotlight game, the Green Bay Packers at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a Sunday night football match, this is the first late matchup of the Sunday slate. So the Packers come in undefeated. They are 1st in scoring offense, 1st in defensive yardage, 2nd in scoring defense. They have a +11 turnover differential. Devontae Adams is once again destroying the league, averaging 23 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have quite the numbers he had last year, but barely has to throw the ball. I think he's bottom 3 or so in pass attempts on the season. The Pack had 1 loss last year, and that was in a Week 17 game where they started all their backups. And still almost won the Super Bowl. They've got this thing figured out. They are really rolling right now. Jump returned at the end of last season. He's got the Bengals going right now at a 5-1 mark. Again, they just had the big win last week over the Ravens in a hard-fought game. Cincinnati currently 7th in offensive production, 372 yards per game. The best rushing offense in the league at 162 yards per game. Also a very strong defense, 4th in scoring at 20 points per game. Joe Mixon leading the charge, 642 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry. Joe Burrow, a 10 touchdown, 10 interception ratio, but he's coming on strong. Geno Atkins was Defensive Player of the Week last week with 4 sacks. This is going to be a really hard-fought game. I've got to go with the Packers being victorious. When they've been at full strength, it's been really tough to compete with them. So I think they continue their run as the last undefeated team and move to 6-0. Next game, we've got a bit of a mismatch. The 5-1 Bears against the 1-5 Rams. The Bears are another strong defensive team, 1st in scoring D. They run the ball well, 3rd in rushing offense. Not a lot of passes. They're starting a rookie quarterback, Jamie Colvin. 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but they have 3 running backs that are over 238 yards rushing, and Tariq Cohen averaging a ridiculous 9.4 yards per carry and leading the team in receptions. The Rams are what they are. They like to throw the ball deep. When it works, they can be really potent. They got a big win last week, their 1st of the year, but more often than not, it's a struggle. They are -14 turnover differential. Goff has thrown 19 interceptions already. They are 30th in scoring offense at 17 points per game with a -76 point differential. The Bears are going to be too much for that offense. I got the Bears in a big win. Next game, the Eagles and the Raiders. Eagles come in at 1-4, a disappointing 1-4. The Raiders at 3-2. This is a pretty, in terms of statistics, an evenly matched game. Philly's 23rd in scoring defense. The Rams are 25th, but they both average 30 points a game allowed. Defenses are similar. The Eagles give up 328 yards a game. The Raiders give up 333 yards a game. Eagles at -8 turnover differential. The Raiders at -7 turnover differential. This looks like a pick 'em to me. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Lions and Niners, the next game. Both teams at 3-3. Six rejoined us last season, taking over the Lions. Has a big rebuild ahead of him. He looks like he's starting to get some things figured out. Still needs to work on the offense. 32nd ranked rushing offense at only 59 yards per game. But he had his rookie quarterback take over in week 3, 7 TDs, 6 interceptions since then, and a 2-2 record. So might have something building with the rookie quarterback. San Francisco is about middle of the pack. They started 3-0, but have been in a slide, losing 3 straight, and I think that slide continues. Give me the Lions to move to 4-3. Sunday night football matchup, the Atlanta Falcons at 2-3 against the Seattle Seahawks at 3-3. Matt Ryan threw 6 interceptions last week. To derail his was a promising start, but 6 interceptions against the Panthers and a big blowout loss. Falcons can score though. They're 5th in scoring offense, 31 points per game, but they're 30th in scoring defense at 34 points per game. Seattle is 7th in scoring defense at 22 points per game. Russ is off to a pretty good start, 14 touchdowns, but he does have 13 interceptions thrown at this point. Kind of the story of a lot of teams this season in terms of interceptions. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. The Falcons put up a lot of points, but don't really stop anyone. The Seahawks can put up points with Russ and DK Metcalf. I think the Seahawks will score enough to get the home win to move to 4-3. And then our last game on the slate, Monday Night Football, the 2-4 Colts against the 3-3 Jags, an AFC South matchup. I believe this is one of only 2 divisional matchups, along with the Steelers and Browns this week. A lot of interdivisional, interconference matchups. But the Colts coming in at 2-4. Jacob Eason is off to a great start in terms of touchdowns. He's got 17 touchdowns on the year. The Colts can score 8th in yardage. But they, again, similar to a lot of teams, they give up a lot of yards. 396 yards allowed on defense. And they've got some bad luck. They've had 2 straight sim losses the last 2 weeks. For Jacksonville, number 1 pick, Isaac Peterson, right now is 3rd in the league in passing yardage with just over 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Jacksonville has kind of a middle-of-the-pack defense, but I think that's going to be enough to stymie the Colts and give Jacksonville the win. So there you have it. I'll quick recap of my picks. I've got the Broncos over the Ravens, the Panthers over the Vikings, Chiefs over Washington, Titans over the Cardinals, the Giants over the Chargers in one of our spotlight games, the Browns over the Steelers, the Jets over the Bucs in an upset special, then the Packers over the Bengals in a matchup of 5-0 and 5-1 teams, the Bears over the Rams, the Eagles over the Raiders, the Lions over the 49ers, the Seahawks over the Falcons, and then Jacksonville over Indianapolis to wrap up. So I appreciate y'all listening. Hopefully I'll be able to keep these up and give you a look at the week's games each week. We'll see you next time.